Welcome back, everyone, to the World Swiss Stage, live from the KBS Arena in Seoul, Korea. Today we've got 8 more best of ones coming your way to decide who will move on to qualification and who will be facing elimination. Here are the fans filing into the KBS Arena. I was just saying to Betty how awesome and cute it is that, you know, since the doors opened, we've seen fans sitting here. Sometimes they're with friends and they're just chatting about their favorite teams. They got the FLICKR shirts most of the time.
We've got the early birds here, the super excited ones.
Shocked.
I see the casters down there getting in too.
Did you ever get to be a fan? Like, were you ever, or were you just straight from the ground?
When I was in 2012 a journalist, I just got to be in the crowd because, you know, the interviews were after the game. It was so fun.
Just a normal League of Legends fan eating mayonnaise out of the jar.
Do you remember when you went to London and like you did the road show in London? That was the only time I ever actually got to be a fan live. It was great. I love that experience. But yeah, it's amazing. It's really great to be in the arena here in Korea because the crowd has been amazing. Yeah. They do get a little upset when the Korean teams lose, but they have been amazing outside of that.
Quiet.
Yeah.
A little bit, but that's okay. We're the same, actually. In any case, though, as said, the second day of the Swiss stage, the Swiss bracket. So let us update you, and maybe if you're not that familiar, kind of explain what's going down today. Well, all of the 1 and 0 teams, so all the teams who won yesterday, will all play each other, and the winners, so the teams that will be on a 2 and 0, will then move on to a best-of-3 qualification match. If they lose that game, they would move on to the 1 and 1 pool and play another best-of-1 round tomorrow. All the teams that lost yesterday in the 0 and 1 pool will also play each other, and the winners of that would then play another best-of-1 round tomorrow since they would be 1 and 1. The losers, who are then at 0 and 2, would play a best-of-3 elimination match. So basically, whenever you're on a point for qualifying and or eliminating, you would play a best-of-3. So there you go. Thank you for the guidance.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the other cool thing, too, is that now we're breaking them out by days that these games are actually played. So the 2-0 teams that win today, I guess the logic is they're so good, they don't need as much prep time.
No.
They play tomorrow. Then the 1-1 games are the following day. And then the 0-2 teams that need the most help and the most prep to correct their problems, they play the following day.
And I'm super excited to see G2 versus C9 tomorrow in that best-of-3. It's guaranteed to be a banger. Am I right, Kobe?
Yes.
Into existence. Hey, I got another fun fact for you because we had our draw yesterday. There was you know, it was a draw. There were 1.6 billion possible draws for tomorrow, for today, so day 2. 5 team kill matches would happen in only 0.82%
We did it.
of all draws.
We are the 1%.
We are the 1%.
Or the less than 1%.
That is unreal.
Yeah,
it
is kind of crazy, especially for some of the teams that have consecutively already lost to these opponents. BLG is the first one that everyone is looking at. Another matchup versus JDG, especially after the treat that we just had in BLG versus KT yesterday. For them to be rewarded.
Not all rounds are equal. BLG going from KT, a hard-fought battle, into a feeling really good about themselves to then immediately get JDG. It's a painful one.
For JDG, it is a super painful one. But I was thinking, do we have like a super Western perspective on the draw? Because we're always like, give us an easy appointment.
Here's my perspective. EU got very, very lucky with the draws.
Could have gotten Cloud9, so I don't agree.
Really nice with
any case, let's talk about some of the outstanding players on day 1. I want to start with Scout. Unfortunately, Fnatic was on the receiving end, but he had a monster performance, 11-0 and 7, I believe. And you know what? If you've been a longtime viewer of the LPL and Worlds, you are not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, you should be no stranger to Scout. He is a former world champion, and he's come to play. When you look at the entire year, he's had an incredible performance over in the LPL. Scout is the reigning MVP of the LPL. He kind of got scoffed in terms of the All-Pro, falling just short tonight, but everyone regarded him for his incredible talent, and people believe that he was the main reason why LNG was able to get so far in the LPL playoffs.
An absolute monster, and especially on Azir, I think that with all the focus at the beginning of the tournament that has been on the buffs for Orianna and Syndra, I'm talking to so many of these mid laners, they think there is going to be an emergence of the preference for the dash and the mobility and the playmaking of Azir, even with how powerful the other mages have been in the mid lane, and Scout made full use of it. I do want to also shout out Tarzan for the setup, though. You know, getting Scout this undefeated, unkilled record so far here at Worlds. Massive gold difference, massive performance from him.
We got to rely on Kobe to always be in the corner of the jungler.
Credit.
I love it. That's amazing. Well, speaking of, Weiwei versus NRG, we hyped him going into this matchup for Weibo as well, right? As the X Factor, Kobe.
Yeah, so you were talking about the Fnatic being unfortunately on the receiving end of that one. Unfortunately for NA, NRG was the receiving end of this one. And the clip I played was literally him diving EDG with Poppy multiple times doing the same exact thing in regionals. And then it did it to us, and it was very painful, yes.
What's that about?
We also gave them a little donation. I don't know what's up with the picking Kalista into a first pick Poppy already, but that's neither here nor there. Weiwei smashed it. He is a monster, and he was such a big pickup for this team. I think that's really one of the underrated things. He is the most recent addition to the roster, and has had a huge, huge impact.
What I think is incredible is laners in the LPL are very good at finding small advantages. Burning a flash in 2 versus 2, even just getting a cleanse. But the way in which the rest of the team then takes advantage of those small advantages is incredible. And Weiwei, after they were able to get such a great 2v2 advantage, burning those summoners out of the Kalista, they made life hell for the bottom lane of NRG. So huge credit to him. I'm really excited to see what he can do today, especially as the Shy gets a return against G2 once again.
And speaking of G2, also an MVP to be crowned there in their hard-fought battle versus D plus Kia. It was the
unsuspected one. The Ocean
The
Dragon.
Ocean Soul, let's go. Woo!
Can we
really,
get
Congratulations, Ocean.
really
shot of
massive
this?
performance from the Ocean
Oh, no,
Soul. No, we're
it's
not.
Mickey. Yeah, okay, it's actually Mickey. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, of course, while the Ocean Soul was incredibly valuable against the poke composition, Mickey, he was a standout once again. He is touted the MVP of the year.
Not touted, crowned.
Yeah, crowned, my apologies, crowned the MVP, but he made so many incredible plays. Keep your eyes on what he's able to do against Kana here. After G2 find a great fight back into that, he's able to catch Kana out of position, completely off guard, and he locks him in to secure another pick. And he was just in the face of D+ all throughout the game, finding opportunities and winning big fights for G2.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen his development. He was, of course, also part of kind of the legendary 2019 G2 run, and I think for a long time he's been wanting to prove that he still has that in him, and I think we saw it in the first game, definitely so. Came with something to prove as the MVP, and we gotta say it was necessary, because that game, despite a good early game, was incredibly dicey.
That Baron throw,
Ooh.
that Baron throw. Everybody going into the back of the pit as well.
Well, let's not. We moved past it, Kobe. We moved past it.
It was exciting.
I did get to hear from Mickey immediately after the game, and I was like, what happened, bro? And he was like, there was a bit of nerves. You know, everyone first game on stage, you know, we were working some of those nerves out, a bit of mixed calls. We heard it from Hans Summer in the interview as well. But I think he said that D+ also felt a little nervous to him. So it feels like a lot of these teams still getting used to the stage, getting used to playing in front of this crowd. And I think today we're going to hopefully see some cleaner games, or we're going to see even more chaos.
Yeah, we'll see, indeed. Let's take a look at the meta developments, especially in relation to what we saw out of the play-ins and the top presence on day one. Orianna is someone that we mentioned already that we think might kind of fall off now that we've seen the might of Azir and wanting to use those dashes, but how do you feel overall?
I mean, I think Orianna is definitely still going to stay in the top triumvirate of the mid lane champions up there, so the really big imposter to me is that the one Kalista game we saw was that trash Kalista pick into a Poppy already that got, you know, summer spells blown so early on that was not representative.
They get 7 bans, one game yesterday, so.
Yeah. And the one game that we saw, I think, should be deleted.
Honestly, Kalista is the surprise to me. I didn't expect her to be so prevalent in this meta, and it just goes to show that perhaps bot lane is becoming the main focus for this tournament. This is, especially when speaking to G2, they talk about how they feel confident in their bot lane performance and how they want to rely on these Kalistas, these Dravens, maybe even Lucians, and you've seen how much the presence has increased from play-ins to the Swiss stage. Sejuani also kind of disappearing pretty dramatically, but Azir, as you mentioned as well, both of you talking about the return of that presence and how pro players like that pick.
Alistar.
Yeah, the engaged supports we knew were going to be huge coming in, and we have so many really good Alistar players that I think we're in store for more.
We do. It's beautiful when you see an Alistar flank, right? So I'm definitely a fan. Now, yesterday, Team Liquid's APA made his international debut against none other than FLICKR, and he shared his feelings in the latest episode of Oppo, Welcome to the Rift.
Hey guys, APA here, and this is my first time at Worlds. It's definitely just really, really crazy. I mean, a year ago, if I told myself, or if anyone told me that I'd be playing against Worlds, let alone against, FLICKR, I'd think they're crazy, because a year ago I was in college. It's definitely just a really like mind-boggling thing to think about with how far I've come. That's just the biggest thing I take away from it. The amount of hours and grind I put into this game, like, actually can pay off. I want to make Worlds with Team Liquid, and so I did. Never give up. I mean, personally, I'm glad I didn't.
Never give up, indeed. He has an interesting story, right? Was he not the guy who had a really hard time finding a spot in the first place, and obviously only came in later and proved a lot of haters wrong, I want to say. I think it's tapering off a little bit maybe in the playoffs and now at Worlds, but you know, that's an underdog route.
It's a good point to bring up, though, because the reason for a lot of the tapering off in playoffs was literally Palafox. Team Liquid and NRG played twice, and in both best of series, Palafox got the better of APA. In the first one, it was not pretty. It was not even close. Palafox smashed him in the Tristana-Jace matchup, and then the reverse of the Jace-Tristana matchup, which completely even scared Team Liquid away from picking Jace anymore. And then in the next matchup, APA was basically only playing Nico, and then tried to do the Xerath into Azir, which a couple of people have tried and failed to succeed with. But the mid lane matchup has been the thing that has been the same advantage for NRG over Team Liquid in their victories. And that's something that I think has to change and probably will change with the change of the champion pool, with the Orianna and the Syndra that we are talking about getting buffs coming to Worlds, the meta changing. There's definitely a big possibility here for APA to expand that champion pool, alleviate those problems from the mid lane.
I mean,
it's the jungle that I have my eyes on mostly, because like, while I think that the mid lane, I agree with you, it has been so impactful. When
Pyosik yesterday?
Pyosik is smurfing, man. Everyone has seen it. Everyone is saying that he's back in Worlds
That's my
form.
world champion.
Exactly. Like, we saw the Pyosik buff last year, and we're getting to see it again. It was kind of like he saw FLICKR, and he was like, I'm in the World Finals again. You know, he set his sights on him, and he was able to shut him down in so many incredible plays. It's a shame that TL couldn't close it out, but wow, what a performance from Pyosik.
Yeah, and look at all these plays he's pulling off with that giant world champion ring on his finger. Absolutely massive. This one was my favorite, going for FLICKR and then finally chasing him and getting him under tower, having the stopwatch as well to live afterwards. Just huge performance from him. And also, he's such an entertainer. The comedic interviews that we've already gotten so far have really added a lot of flavor to these TL games.
Yeah, he's like the NA Classic. He's really entertaining for fun, but he's also really good. Like,
Excuse me?
It's perfectly. Hey, I've got maybe a contentious statement for you, but I don't think so. For me, TL was the best performing NA team yesterday. C9 had a clinical performance over Mad, but we need to look at the level of opponent. And the way Team Liquid fought against T1 for me was very impressive.
I mean, it's fair to say, I mean, in terms of, it was very clinical from C9, but TL, I think, usurped expectations and showed us some great stuff. Unfortunately, it was the final fight where they fell short, and Kobe, I know we both had a lot of opinions on it. Why don't you run through exactly what went wrong for TL?
All right, let's bring up the final team fight. I know this might be painful for NA fans to watch, but let's get right into it. If we look at the very beginning, I want to point out some of the positioning here and the coordination for the team. You notice TL are actually the ones that start this off. Summit comes in really early here. They try and go for a scatter of the week as well, but Pyosik is still en route to try and get his flank onto the back line of T1, and it's just, you can kind of tell this is first game of Worlds. They're so close to actually possibly getting an upset win that they do rush through things. The second thing you want to look at is the back line here for Team Liquid. Already you can highlight arrow hit onto APA. He's not going to be able to add any damage to this engage. And then Yeon here on the Aphelios. He has purple and red
guns, man. They're not optimal.
They are definitely trash guns for a team fight. And so then he tries to walk up and get really close, and he does not see FLICKR's shockwave right there in the middle. The ball, I guess it kind of gets lost in the animation of the Renata ultimate. He doesn't see it, he doesn't flash, no summer spells, and the game is just over.
Yes, it was really unlucky, but you know, as you say, they can look back on a great
Unlucky?
Yeah.
I'm from NA, and I don't even. You don't even have to give me that. It was not unlucky.
All right, we gotta move on. Hope it's better today. It's a great day ahead of us. We've got LCK and LPL Summer Finals rematch, but first we'll kick off the day with NRG versus Team Liquid. Time for the Worlds 2023 Swiss Stage Day 2.
오늘 스위스 스테이지를 하고 느낀 점은 뒤가 없다는 겁니다. 혼란스러운 월드에서 살아남기 위해서는 제가 최고의 선수라는 믿음이 있어야 되는 것 같습니다.
T1 are going to take the first game of Swiss.
중요한 건 이제 5명이서 이제 좋은 합을 맞추고
Set up Viego to smack him down as they get the Baron.
뭔가 잠시라도 딴 생각을 하면 그 게임 흐름을 놓치는 순간 역전당.
The Swiss stage format definitely favors teams who can read other teams' strengths and weaknesses the fastest. Ultimately, the team skill will matter the most in the end.
C9 as a team, all individual players thrive in chaos. NA seems like where the most motivated we've been.
第一天 LPL 队友都打得很不错吧，一起努力加油吧。
想终结我们 JDG 的队伍有很多吧，然后
JDG have continued their curse on BLG.
我们的话就是用比赛实力来征服他们就可以了。
我已经准备好迎接任何人的挑战。
我做好准备，让大家在这次世界赛更清楚地看到我的实力。
I would call the new stage the perfect chaos.
The pressure is a double-edged sword. I don't really like it, but I think it makes me play much better.
There's always two sides of a coin. Sometimes can lose against anyone, but we can beat anyone.
I think all the teams in the Swiss stage have to worry about our pocket picks.
mình sẽ đem vinh quang về cho FLICKR.
이번 스위스 스테이지는 이기면 천국인 것 같고 지면 지옥인 것 같습니다.
Hello and welcome back to the LCS. We got NRG versus TL. I'm Azale and I'm here with... You're not Captain Flowers?
No way, man. This is Worlds. It's actually real players, real tournament, not the LCS.
Oh, that's how we know we're in the lower bracket.
Yeah.
In the 0-1 round.
I don't know the script you got fed, Azale, but that's pretty rough. Of course, I'm Hysterics. Azale alongside with me. You are tall. That's the first thing noticing coming to Career like bad. I've seen you in so many LCS runs, and all the time you just stand above everyone else.
I don't know what it is, but I guess we look short on camera because I swear every time I meet someone, they're like, wow, you are tall in person.
It's a lie. Sometimes I stand on a box, not gonna lie. None given this time around, but of course, we've given you the LCS intro because it is a regional match, but let's be real, it's a regional day as well. We all saw the draw show last night. We all know that people out there are like, man, we're getting so many big matchups throughout the day. One of them being JDG BLG later. We've also got, you know, some LCK death matches as well with Gen G T1. But here we stand over NRG and TL, who both started 0-1 in day one.
Absolutely, and these two teams, you know, are so incredibly familiar with each other. You know, they just played each other in 2 best-of-5s in the LCS playoffs. NRG was able to take both, but if you were to look just at day one, I think everyone would say TL looked a lot better.
Agreed.
TL was very close to actually taking down T1. But NRG, I feel like they maybe had a little bit of a mental block against their opponents. You know, if you actually heard some of the interviews from Palafox, he said Xiaohu was by far the best mid laner that he played against in scrims. Then some of their coaches were even posting World's player rankings based on scrims. They had all the Weibo guys up at the very top of the table, so they were clearly very worried about playing those players going in. But already in picks and bans, this feels like a flashback to playoffs for me. In the first round of playoffs where they played each other, it was all Jace versus Tristana mirror matchups, and APA got absolutely ran by Palafox. So in that second best of 5, it became very much about actually banning out some of these specific picks that one player is stronger on than the other. And for Palafox, he was never getting his Jace. That was banned out every single game. His Azir was mostly getting banned out as well. And APA has been getting a lot of attention from his Ziggs, from his Nico, and we know how good Pyosik looked yesterday on League.
I mean, we talked a lot about mid lane, or at least off camera as well, about how Palafox was a big deal against APA. We can continue that discussion, but for now, love the Poppy ban to come through. I feel like for TL, maybe doing homework from NRG's game against Weibo yesterday. That first pick blue side, it does mean the Orianna is up, which has had a high priority ban for NRG to take away.
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to be able to grab that Orianna. And APA, likely just playing the same matchup he actually played yesterday against FLICKR, did play this Syndra, looked very comfortable in lane against it, was pretty active on the map as well, multiple times teeping up towards top side to actually cover Summit on these dives. And it's so interesting, watching TL, and I think APA deserves a lot of credit for how well he actually coordinates with the teams, because it's really funny in the LCS because there's so much talk about how this team largely communicates in Korean. I remember after one of their series, we were actually asking, so APA, why did you pick this year? What was it that you actually happening that made you want to play this in draft? And he said, they didn't even tell me. They just were talking in Korean, and then my champion got locked in, and he's like, oh, I guess this is what I'm playing. So he sometimes is that man, off on his own because of the communication barrier.
Yep.
But he coordinates very well with the team, and him and Pyosik have become, quite the dynamic duo. So I think he definitely is deserving of credit for how adaptable he's been in what sounds like a pretty difficult situation.
And to be fair, when you have Pyosik, when you have Summit, when you have CoreJJ on your team, I completely understand that. So again, running with the flow a bit here, as we're also running through champs like quite big. Look at the power picks on the side of NRG. We have the Orianna, we have the Jax, we have the Sejuani. Powerful solo lanes in the making here for NRG to build up.
APA hovering a couple of Palafox's champions, and while I don't think we got to see it yesterday from APA, this guy is an all-chat demon. He is trash-talking in all-chat in the LCS every single game.
Right.
So it will be funny to see if he's going to be right back to his antics. If junglers come in, he's like, oh, you need your jungler. He's all-chatting all game long. He's trash-talking, he's emoting. He really is a confident guy, a confident player. And I think that both of these teams should absolutely be in their comfort zone because they're so familiar. When you look across the stage, whether you want to admit it or not, it just feels different when you look over and you see a Knight or you see a FLICKR versus the players that you play against week in, week out. So I'm expecting NRG especially to look more comfortable than they did yesterday.
We got no look at NRG yesterday. It wasn't the NRG we saw in the regular season. I know we'll break this down going into game, but it just really feels like this could be the proper first look.
Yeah.
Maybe at both LCS teams to full fruition, as TL was only the early game yesterday anyway. Just quick touch up. Kaisa's going to be taken away, something that doesn't really make it to the second ban phase. But this time away, it's going to be taken with the Kalista priority sunk in for TL.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yeon going to be going back to that Kalista. We saw the FBI played it yesterday. Yeon is really one of our versatile ADs in the LCS. He's one of the guys that will bring out things like Draven, like Kalista. He'll also play the late game scaling stuff. So he is really a flexible player. Improved massively from spring to summer. Core as well, for as much as this guy is someone with an immaculate reputation, had not really been playing nearly as well these last couple of years in the LCS, and I think he's coming off of what is his best split in years in the LCS. So these guys, really are looking to show their stuff on the international level. They had a really rough start to the game yesterday against T1. Yeon had to blow his flash almost instantly, and he was very far down in that game. So I don't think Yeon really felt like he got to get going, and I'm sure that against FBI, he wants to prove himself.
Especially when both bot laners got hammered yesterday as well on that note. FBI, IgNar weren't able to play the game with the Kalista Alistar. As we are still focusing on that bottom side, it was a Xayah ban from TL to round it out. The Renata as well taken by NRG. We're just wondering what support comes through because, as they're talking about on the desk, Alistar has risen up. It has just been one of the main engagers. Rakan also up and available. Anything you want to add in for Spice?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rakan is generally really highly contested in the LCS, especially if you're playing against IgNar and the team needs engage, because IgNar is one of those guys that really favors the pick. Core, I tend to think, yes, he can play enchanters really well. I mean, the man won a world championship playing enchanters, but for TL, they just look different when he's playing engage. He being that go button for the team, I think is so incredibly pivotal. So, I am expecting them to go towards those engage type picks, but at the same time, with them looking for fifth pick counter pick here, maybe they have a little bit of a different read. Maybe they're going to pick more heavily for lane. We could see something like a ranged champion. That's why we're getting that Renata banned out. Be picked in, and Senna's going to get locked. So do we actually have a farming TK or something along those lines? I think there's a lot of pairings that you can do with it. Senna TK, by far the most popular, and Senna, I think, is actually really strong right now, so this is cool.
It really is. Again, Senna Tahm, Senna Neela's been hyped up pre-tournament. Glad to see a little bit of it here as Core waited for this. It's R5 support counter pick when he's pivotal to the team. When you talk about his engage being a priority, what rounds this out perfectly?
I mean, the Blitzcrank would be spicy. The Rell feels a lot more likely.
Okay.
But you know, the Blitzcrank would be more of that lane counter. I think the Rell is a lot easier to play in the 5v5s, has that AoE CC. That is something that you really do need when you're playing against Blitzcrank. If you just have single target pick, Tahm Kench is so powerful against that. You know, when Syndra is looking to 100-0 someone, when Viego is looking to dive in and 100-0 someone, the Tahm Kench can just say no. So I am really curious to see what Yeon and Core can get done in that bot lane, because without a ranged support, I do think it's difficult to actually really bully that TK. And if FBI is on point with his Qs, you know, both hitting IgNar with the heal as well as poking out Yeon and Core, you're actually a pretty difficult lane to push out. And if this lane can be stable, the scaling over on the NRG side, I think, is incredible. They can play through sides with Dhokla. You have the Senna ultimate to help for that cross map as well. You have safety for the Senna and the Orianna here with the Tahm Kench. You have good engage with Contractz on the Sejuani. So they're definitely looking for, you know, maybe 1-4 or even 5v5, but heavy scaling. There's way more pressure, I feel, on TL to get ahead of the pace of the game, because when you're looking at Viego, you need to be getting those kills. You need to be getting that resets. Similar can be said here for Yeon and the Kalista, and even APA playing the Syndra.
But I think for TL, at least it hits that condition of what we talked a lot about yesterday, right? Pyosik was the early game. It was the Lee Sin that really threatened T1. A lot of NA fans were getting their hopes up. I was sitting in the back room going, hey, this could look like a win. It was one mistake. It was one fight mid that they went too far, unfortunately. And it was devastating, but at least we saw what T1 could do. If we're talking about priority on this jungler, if we're talking about priority here as Zale with what the early game can offer, I have faith, considering we didn't see much from NRG yesterday, considering that Weibo didn't give them a chance to play. It's kind of up to them to showcase how they can withstand that early game, as you so well highlighted. And I'm just excited to be part of an NA rivalry. We've seen them twice in the LCS playoffs, and I'll tell you one thing, I haven't cast NA before, Azale, so this is...
Oh, welcome, welcome!
I really do feel like flowers right now, except I don't have the great chin or the Skarner mechanics to go with it.
Oh, well, actually, you probably do have the Skarner mechanics. That's the whole point of playing Skarner, is it has no mechanics.
Really?
As flowers will tell you.
Will that offend him? I mean, or does he just live up to it?
He's like, I press Q, that's about it. But no, it is great to be here with you, man. Definitely a big LPL fan myself, big fan of your casting. And happy to be here with you to kick off day 2 of the Swiss stage of Worlds. This should be a fun one.
It should be, considering that, again, it was NRG who had TL's number.
Yeah.
Coming through, what, 3-2 in the lower bracket finals, 3-1 in round 1 of playoffs as well.
Yes, sir.
And I know you backstage were really high on Palafox versus APA, where that felt like a deciding fact to push NRG into the unexpected finals position.
It absolutely was, but like Kobe was talking about on the desk, and everyone on the desk was talking about, it is a different meta now, right? So, you know, is this meta going to be one in which Palafox can kind of enforce his will on APA as much? That's what we have to really find out here. As expected, it is the fasting Senna. It is going to be the farming TK.
Yep.
You know, no big surprise there, but obviously confirmed by the Spectral Sickle. And it's going to be a really interesting one. I think so much additional pressure is felt by the teams in the 0-1 matches, knowing that D+ or KT is going to be in the 0-2 match. And you do not want to go down there, because if you draw that team, it's probably see you later, have a nice flight home.
That's right. Even though, you know, you go to best of 3s, it's so rough again to go against one of those behemoths that are also quite unpredictable. So important matchup here for TL and NRG. As that bottom lane, as you're walking us through a little bit in the draft, you said it feels hard to push in this time. It feels hard to deal with this 2v2 from what TL have offered. But here in the level 1 already, at least there are some good trades, as you can speak about that in the top side as well. Dhokla and Summit bashing each other for a little bit, and Summit send packing.
Yeah, good job there by Dhokla. Nice early trades. Gets the faster level 2, and Summit a little bit disrespectful there, taking a lot of damage. But at the same time, you know, talking about that bot lane, for me, you know, it's less can they, you know, get the push. I do think that Kalista can get the push. It's more, is APA's in trouble here potentially.
Out of the week's going to get him away. Palafox has the summoners available. He flushes for an autos. And first blood to Palafox to kick a chat in the mid lane returns.
FLICKR showing up here to Worlds. Solo kill on Orianna at level 3 is not what you want to see.
Apologies for the delay. We sorted that out as TL getting bullied in this top lane too. The biggest takeaway so far is that NRG through the early game. I'm getting the vibes that I had through watching LCS playoffs. Azale, you know, this powerhouse of a team, the individual presence as well. And starting off with a solo kill on Orianna in this matchup, pre-6 is amazing.
Absolutely, and it kind of feels like right back to the LCS playoffs where such a difference maker for the team was Palafox. But you can see Core, you can see Pyosik hovering around mid lane, wanting to punish Palafox. who has a wave in a really awkward spot. This wave is pushing away from him. That's why he's hugging the top side where it is warded. He doesn't have a ward over by his Raptor, so of course steps out of that brush. He's going to be spotted, but Pyosik, he knows he could be down there, and that's why he's so heavily playing towards top side and will just retreat out to Contractz.
Really smooth stuff from Palafox. Scuttle taken before Pyosik can do anything about it as well, but they're waiting. He peeks his head into the brush. Contractz unable to get that Arctic Assault connect. Well, this is some patience, to say one thing.
Either that or he's gone for a quick bathroom break because he's been in there for a while.
And he's still there. You can see on the mini-map while Contractz is going straight to the top side. Summit has the Flash Veil, but it's matched here. Permafrost is out. And even though Summit gets out of there, Dhokla's in. The big man in charge gets one of his own too.
Big Dokes in the top lane showing up here to Worlds, getting the kill onto Summit. Nicely done. Him and Contractz working well together. Core
really
is still there.
All right, now he's moving.
Man, he is clearly really feeling the pressure to get something done around mid lane. But it also speaks to the fact that he doesn't feel he can pressure bot lane at all. Like, clearly he feels, hey, I'm not going to get anything done. They're not going to be able to kill off Yeon, so me sitting bot lane doesn't do anything. So while people will meme this, if you don't think you can accomplish anything bot, you're trying to wait to punish this flashless Orianna. That's really what he was going for there. Yep. And unfortunately got nothing done. And now Pyosik going to be spotted out by a great lane ward here from Dhokla.
I want to touch on that again because, look, as that ward spots him out, I mean, the rest of the map is so chaotic right now as well, so you can understand further as to why CoreJJ continues to move. Dhokla's going to get tagged out that ward. It's a bit of a bait right now, but you see, Contractz is nowhere nearby, so Dhokla, he can try and bait him in and waste his time, but he can't overstep.
Exactly. Dhokla's trying to really walk that line, and so Pyosik now will go back. Dhokla hasn't spent his teleport. That is the big difference maker here.
Yep.
And that is why Summit is going to try to pull the wave, going to try to hold it. We'll understand now that there was a ward in that brush as the minion aggro did fall them, and we can watch this replay one more time. APA was trying so heavily to push in the wave. The wave was pushing away from him, but Palafox is basically just harassing APA every time he steps forward to actually push in that wave. He got the extra level, he's able to punish, and then this was just a nice move up towards top. Sejuani plus melee pairings, we know all about them. Great flash for the second part of the W there from Contractz. That means the passive is stacked and we're back to bot.
And he's now down here. I mean, 3 versus 2, but CoreJJ and Yeon, they're just fine. They walk it out, half HP. The trade is going to be the cleanse coming through from this Kalista, while NRG have a wave to push in. But again, Contractz, what an early game presence. We didn't get to see any of it yesterday against Wave, but we all know why. But it is really nice to see, again, as you were talking about, that domestic rivalry, the best of these teams, because they are playing against rivals that they know and love.
Absolutely, and he's still just hanging around here on bot side, going to be spotted by the Sentinel there from Yeon, but Yeon without cleanse is going to have to be careful, and we can see Palafox now at 6, APA at 6 as well. And we see in these matchups so many, I was just going to call it out, the harass shockwaves, just get that chunk, get that push. APA is going to have his TP back relatively soon, but Palafox just looking to continually dominate in this matchup.
And again, there's just so much priority there. That push in is Pyosik still trying to get out on the map. He's now down bottom side, not spotted out, but hard again when you consider what FBI and IgNar are running to the table. And as you're talking about APA, just a quick touch on mid, with that teleport coming so soon, he's still just trying to time it so that Palafox can't get the push in, can't get that free plate, and lose out even more.
And the matchup is, a lot more even than it otherwise would have been because of all the help that APA was getting. Core was sitting around mid, Pyosik was sitting around mid. The wave was pushing away from Palafox, so he couldn't actually farm a lot of those minions, and that's why he's down 12 CS here.
Yep.
So yes, he did get that kill, but there is the CS advantage for APA, so he's not as far behind as he otherwise would be. You have the Lost Chapter for APA, and it just boots in a Negatron for Palafox, so it's actually the better buy rate now for APA. So until Palafox can reset one more time, we'll see.
All out there, though. Let's pause for a second as Summit looks for the chase down. Pyosik is going to help out with this one as well. The Viego needs a kill to start snowballing this game, and with level 6, let's heartbreak straight away, or at least wait for Dhokla to get out of there. He looks for the 1v2. Jungler intervention coming in as Contractz, wants to make it even footing, but Summit with no flip back and then the Tofo strikes will just back off as NRG try to make it spicy.
Well played there by Dhokla. Really calm stuff from him. Didn't panic, played it out slow, knew he had the help coming in from Contractz, and now they get the HP advantage. Summit has no ulti, so they're just going to start up the Herald here. You can see the push there is in mid for Palafox as well. APA is basing. He could TP up here if they want to try to make something happen, but Pyosik looking for a little bit of dance moves.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, again, make it a little bit fun. TL playing with a 3v2 for now, but Palafox, that shockwave available as a threat. The center ult from downtown from FBI helps them get the Herald. But Team Liquid looking for something on the exit path. However, with Palafox with no mana, maybe they feel confident to do so with the jump in from Big Dokes again. Pyosik is out, but for the time being, looking for the reset with the help of his team. TL still in deep no man's land, and IgNar come from behind. Someone has to flash away. FBI's joined in as well. NRG are pouncing on them, and TL bit off way too much. As APA, he might have the flash, but to burn it soon feels like the reality. Tongue lash out over the wall, gobbled up. What did he taste like? A free kill.
Oh my God, it tastes good, and it's tasting maybe like a win for NRG as they are crushing through the early game. We are 9 minutes in, it's 4-0, already a 2,000 gold lead here. They're gonna be able to push in mid as well. They haven't really been able to get any sort of an advantage with this Kalista. And FBI, with that cross-map Senna ult, helps them out around the Herald. We can see it one more time. They know they had the early move from Palafox. He is low on mana, but the Senna ult dissuades any sort of an engage from TL. Yes, Core got here first, but it's NRG on the retreat. It's FBI arriving way before Yeon. And there's no way for TL to stay committed to the fight. Pyosik has to run, Summit has to run, and that means Core was always going to be left to die.
I just love, again, from what we've seen in NRG in the past, these map movements are so clutch. And, you know, as they were coming to this, I was like, I feel like NRG are my little LPL team from abroad, you know? I'm convinced that G2 were the same in EU. I'm convinced that North America runs NRG in that same way as APA's rooted up. Is he in trouble? Finally gets to burn that flash after he wasn't able to do so last time, but it just keeps falling for TL here in this opening game of Swiss Day 2.
Yeah, and FBI, a nice little move up towards mid there.
Who
catches him with the root, and that forces the flash, and now Contractz could threaten the dive. Sure, APA smartly scouts it out, but this means you gotta back up, because without flash, this could be Contractz flashing in with Q flash, guaranteed ult, guaranteed shockwave follow-up, you would be dead. And Dhokla winning out pretty heavily in this top side has been really doing a good job in the 1v1. And that is Summit's bread and butter. That is what this guy is known for, is a monster laning phase. He is the best laning top laner in the LCS, has really showcased his prowess in lane. You know, even in multiple leagues across the world, it's always been outside of lane that he's had his struggles. So the fact that Dhokla's this far ahead is problematic.
All in coming through from bot side, though, to interrupt IgNar with the tongue lash, the long range from FBI already. Yeon in trouble. Again, dinner time, not yet, as he narrowly avoids.
Oh!
Survives, but again, chips keep falling as the action doesn't stop. NRG keeping the pace going. And with a flick back, APA is one-hit wonder away. Contractz with his first kill of the game. And NRG, TL just can't keep up.
They really can't. They are getting run around the map, and now the Herald's going to drop mid as well. And it's really all been created around this advantage that Palafox gained. He gets the solo kill early. That gives Contractz the freedom to get more aggressive. Dhokla was skirmishing on the top side really well, doing great up there. And I think the Senna TK was not expected from TL because it seems to have completely neutralized the TL bot lane to the point where Core basically seems to think there's no point in laning.
Again, he's been playing outside of the lane all game long as Pyosik trying to get something done. TL want their first kill of the game here, but the teleport dissuades the play. The only thing that's going to keep it going, or at least keep it safe for TL, is with no jungler here, but Palafox trying to change the paces. Shockwave not up and available, maybe would have been the difference maker, but TL sent running for the hills again with a 2.5k gold lead. That's not changing anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking really good here for NRG. You know, the only kind of bomb there for TL is the fact that they did get the first dragon. We'll see if they can continually stack those dragons. It wasn't anything super early. You know, that second dragon coming up, 14.5, 15 minutes. With that Kalista, you definitely want to be stacking those objectives. But it's also really tough when Pyosik is falling behind, because when you're playing Viego, when you're playing Syndra, these two champions are supposed to work in conjunction to get that one shot, get that first kill, which gets the reset for Viego. If you can't get that first reset because you're too far behind, because your Syndra's too far behind, you lose a tremendous amount of value. So I think TL are already kind of in this position where they're going to have to find some different angles.
Again, Yeon, who's left by himself in the bottom lane, continues to get bullied out. IgNar and FBI have had his number all game long. And just a quick touchback on what you're talking about with not only Pyosik, but I think TL. We mentioned the scaling on NRG's side in comparison and what this team can do as they group up as a 4-1 or a 5-man unit. NRG have had such a successful early game that I think it is so right to continue singing their praises. when TL are the ones who needed to put pace on this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, TL is going to have some opportunities. You know, they do have playmaking here, obviously, with the Cassante.
Of course.
Hey, if you can pull this Orianna who's super fed out of the fight, if you can pull someone away, split them up, maybe you can make something work there. Obviously, great engage for Core as well. But I do think it's going to be very difficult for Yeon. You're playing this relatively low-range marksman. You're going to have a Jax jumping in your face. You're going to have to deal with a Senna who's outranging you heavily. You're going to have to deal with the potential shockwaves and Contractz mid again.
Kill number 4, APA. Yip, yip. Back to the base.
Not again. APA did so well in this matchup against FLICKR, but he wasn't playing against Palafox.
Even better, isn't it? As the jump in on bot side, maybe TL finally can get something done, but IgNar saving FBI. Knock, knock, who's that? It looks like IgNar is in with the police. Is TL at least going to get some turret plating because of it, but look at mid, open up yet again. And it is always a trade here with NRG at the very least.
Yeah, and Pyosik wrapping around. TL, I think, are feeling the pressure. They know they need to make some sort of a dive happen. They're going to TP.
They finally get Pyosik with something in the game. He flashes but misses FBI. IgNar doesn't have the saving grace with the Heartbreaker out. The ulti flash is still alive, but finally, there's a reset over to the TL jungler as IgNar is too far away to be caught out, but it opens up that bottom side and finally gives TL some meat.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get something from that. That is big for TL. They needed to get something going, find a lane to play around, so they heavily commit down towards that bot side. You know, they bring down the TP. They try to make something happen. It was a great sidestep on the stun there from FBI, but they'd already used the Tahm Kench ulti on the earlier play, and here it is around mid once again. Contractz this great job over the wall. It's a flashless Syndra, nails the ulti, sets up the shockwave for Palafox, and then down to bot side. This is after Tahm Kench already had to use his ulti in that initial play. Yep. So great sidestep there from FBI. I think his flash, though, unfortunately, was late on the R coming through from Pyosik, so he did take that damage. I'm not sure, honestly, if it would have made the difference, but it was a little bit slow there. You know, to go for the R flash on Senna to try to stay alive with the shield, wasn't quite able to do it. But again, it's Dhokla winning on top side. It's Palafox winning heavily through mid. It's Contractz getting more done in the jungle. It's really pressure on Yeon now, who did not have a great game yesterday, to be big.
Flash away from APA as that win probability powered by AWS makes things interesting. It's saying NRG got it in the bag, but TL are not going to take that lying down. Dhokla with the flash out, but the Herald reset. Shelly says, hang on a minute. I've got something left at home. 2.8k as the oven's now turned off and Shelly's going back out to adventure, but the eye taken by the man in jungle from NRG. He's also separated, but the eye now exposes CoreJJ is going to be the trade-off with a shockwave to the death. NRG making a trade, and they get the purple eye.
Yeah, that is huge. They steal away that Herald. Yes, they do lose one, but it's 1 for 1. They can push up mid. That mid lane turret is almost dead, and they're still going to have that Herald in pocket here with IgNar to try to get even more done. Dhokla up towards this top side. IgNar is ghosting him. Pyosik is moving in, so they're going to see if they can try to get something done on Dhokla, who has no flash, and also does have a ward, so he will be able to ward off, but we'll see if he can get anything done.
Level 11 here on the man with Divine Syndra. Look at the item comparison. APA, only with a lost chapter, the Fiendish Codex, but we're not going to get to test that metal at the very least. However, when we talked about Summit earlier on, we know this man for a great lane, or at least this game in a different lane, he's getting something done.
Yeah, goes to a different lane, does get that first tower, so nicely done by TL. I think NRG, there would have been, you know, some merit to maybe just dropping Herald mid instantly to claim that first tower with that Herald, but we can see this previous fight here. TL was clearly trying to keep NRG out, but with the spells on cooldown there from APA, NRG just kind of bully their way in, and Contractz is able to find the angle here, gets the smite, came down second. Yes, he gets pulled over the wall by Summit. They do get that kill, but Core is traded. They get the Herald. And NRG going to be really happy about their position in this game, still maintaining that 2,000 gold lead. But it has not grown, to be fair.
Well, it's been a player matchup at the very least through the mid lane that has started that gold lead. Palafox, always wanted to say it, has been dominating APA.
Rolls off the tongue, it's nice.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, he deserves it. Again, this guy, remnants of the CLG roster.
Yeah.
And he's just taken over. He's been the best mid laner for me for the LCS.
Absolutely. I mean, in playoffs, he was for sure the best mid laner in the league.
Yep.
You know, regular season, I think that has to go to JoJo. The MVP was playing really well. But Palafox is such a cool story because he's one of those players, and a lot of the NRG guys are players who have been kind of perennially overlooked in the LCS. People who have always been, well, they're okay. They're an LCS player, but they're not that good. You know, they never seem to get into All-Pro. They never seem to win these awards, these accolades. You know, even going into finals, no one thought they were going to be able to take down Cloud9, including Cloud9, who was aiming for that undefeated playoffs. And out of nowhere, they win. And they really have shown just how good they can be. FEI stepped up massively in playoffs. Palafox stepped up so big in playoffs. And this team that was so up and down in the regular season, it was a team that could always challenge the best teams, but always lose to the worst, showed us some consistency for once and showed us just how good they can be. And now they are starting to get some of that recognition.
Yeah, they've really nailed down the playstyle, haven't they? And again, they get consistency comes through as Contractz dives through. The man who has been at Worlds since 2017 is leading the charge on this boar. With the teleport in from Dhokla, though, they make it a 5-man bot side. They've left Summit towards mid, but they've got the pick. They've got a turret under their eyes, and NRG stay as the unit.
And this could be double tower here. I think they should just walk this in. They're trying to kill it off before the charge, so no HP lost off the Herald there. They're going to walk this up, and they're going to look for 2 towers, as Summit now going to be moving over, because Palafox TP'd mid, so NRG has to be careful to not overextend. Palafox has to follow the move from Summit.
We're going to be spotted out at the very least. It turns into 1v1 while the Herald gets the charge bot side, but there it goes, TL able to stop the pressure.
Here comes Dhokla.
This could turn into a 2v1 very quickly over the wall. There's a counter-strike, but Unstoppable separates, makes it a 1v1, but Summit is now squishy as all hell. Dhokla says, no problem whatsoever. I'll take that freebie as he moves to 3-0-1, and CoreJJ once again in no man's land. Spin to win from the man in the top side, and T1 get him out of there. Excuse me, TL. I'm in the remnants of yesterday because TL are now getting bodied.
It's understandable. You have, all these LCK players. You got FLICKR.
That's right. I walked myself into it.
Exactly. Potato, potato. Who could tell the difference? NRG, though, really playing well here. Dominating this game thus far. It's good map movements as well. They get down towards bot side. Again, just constantly picking on APA. Really putting the pressure on them. Contractz has been relentless, and it's just constantly setting up for these shockwaves from Palafox. They get that first kill. They get the pressure. They hold the Herald, and I love how they rush down the tower to actually save that. Then Dhokla on the move preempts the play that TL was actually trying to set up for. They had a TP on APA when he was up, so they wanted to try to set up this 5v4 on bot side. Dhokla says, no, I'm going to actually attack the flanker, bring both the soul lanes over. They get another kill here on Summit, and Dhokla is getting miles ahead now in this side lane. 3 kills on the Jax, 3 kills on the Orianna mid, and we're going to have Palafox working towards that death cap. And when that death cap comes through from Orianna, that is when you can start to have those 100-0 combos. No one is safe.
And look, we've only got a 1-item Cassante. Everyone else too, they're going to dissipate. I mean, this is the biggest thing as well. Yeon, APA, Pyosik are going to have a hard time as soon as FLICKR continues up that mark. Close with the needlessly large as NRG on the Baron here, Azale, and no one's nearby from TL. Look at where Pyosik is.
Yeah, I mean, they're just drawing so much pressure down towards bot side. They knew Pyosik is bot, so they're just going to force this. They don't have that much damage, but now Dhokla sees Pyosik in there to finish it.
I think you can 1v2 this. I think APA bitten off way too much. He dies even under turret. Pyosik is still there in full vision while NRG have a free smite and look for the kill. CoreJJ with the all in, but the numbers advantage there. IgNar saves FBI. Meanwhile, Dhokla dies downstairs. But look at Contractz onto Yeon, trying to run away. There's some spears in, but as he gets separated out, TL trying to get numbers advantage. Contractz will eventually die. It's the best fight we've seen so far from Team Liquid, but Summit needs to go down, and NRG have their targets in order. CoreJJ and Yeon are all that's left standing. Pyosik at least got the kill on the other side. At least they stopped the Baron, but NRG got more resources in the process.
Yeah, they do stop the Baron, but what a scrappy series of events there. Dhokla taking the 1v2, killing APA down on the bot side and gets his splash. And on the other side of the map, TL doing a really good job with a numbers disadvantage, so Dhokla just goes aggressive. He knew that Pyosik was around. He all-ins to force the jungler to come to try to get the advantage on the other side, and then is able to chase down APA, gets the kill here. Counter-Strike comes back up, but he's just too low. Nice flash to actually avoid that ulti, but Pyosik has the chase down, did eventually get that kill. As TL were fighting it out 3v4 on the other side. They played this really well. Summit threatening the flank, and CoreJJ coming in with the engage to create space for Yeon, who is so critical. The instant exhaust came down from IgNar, and he had to use that ulti to get FBI out to safety, but Yeon had the cleanse for the exhaust, was putting out a lot of pressure, and Palafox critically was pretty low on mana. So then they're able to split up the fight. All Out comes out from Summit, trying to peel them apart, trying to buy that space for Yeon, because he's really the only damage dealer here that's in a position to succeed in this game. So they have to set up Yeon for success, but they can't quite push through and get the rest of the kills.
But I want to highlight, at least in that play from TL, who have always managed in this game to keep within an arm's reach of the gold, at least that 2-3K mark, is that they got a big kill on Pyosik. That shutdown onto Dhokla, a lot of gold gathered. So still a threat as a great scatter the week to stop that dive in as well. On top, Palafox holding onto the shockwave for now. But TL resists the ambition to go in on top of NRG and hold them at arm's length.
Yeah, doing a good job. Palafox looking like he actually wants to go for the Zonia's completion instead. He did have to use his stopwatch in that last fight, so now picking up that Fiendish Codex, not going to be working towards the death cap, is going to be going back towards that Zonia's, which always has so much value against Syndra. You know, the ultimate comes out from Syndra. You can pop the Zonia's, be able to immune that. So clearly, he's more worried about his survival, the upfront burst, than he is about just the consistent damage, because they are in a really good spot as far as that's concerned. It is just that 3k gold lead, though, 1 dragon apiece. So it's honestly still anyone's game, though I do really favor NRG compositionally from their point.
Yeah, I think we've also been talking them up all early game long too, so completely fair that NRG have been the ones in control. But I just love, again, that you can't count this team out. Second Dragon for Team Liquid as well. Worth mentioning, while NRG have the inside track towards mid, towards that Baron side, they want to threaten TL to move into their headquarters once again.
The problem is, with these Baron threats, their damage is really low. You know, Senna is not super high DPS. Yes, you have the Orianna that's relatively high damage, but without Jax there, I don't think you can threaten a rushdown with this composition. So if you were playing Azir Kaisa, I would respect what they're doing more. You know, you'd have to be worried about it from the TL side. Like, oh, they could actually insta-kill this, but now they're going for the engage.
Instead, the pick is there. Great again. IgNar going to chase this one up as Contractz with the ulti onto APA is huge, but the shockwave! I know why they call him Palafaker. I can feel it.
Palafox's shockwave will find them all.
Yeah,
they get the triple there, pushing him off, and now NRG going to be able to go over to Baron here. A massive play from Palafox again, as now the Zoni is complete. Him and IgNar are going to be playing bodyguard, but this Baron is going to go down so slow if Palafox doesn't actually go help to hit it.
Might be in a bit of trouble. Palafox not following it up, though, is just to get him away from the potential Baron. And you're right, Azale, you hit the nail on the head. That Baron is slower than me walking across the street after doing 30,000 steps in Korea. Moving like a snail. They're going to continue on while Dhokla just deals with the bottom side. But eventually, and surely, Baron will go down to NRG. The big, major objective here in this game is at least Pyosik is trying to trade this off again, but Dhokla won't exactly let him. Another stun to bite the dust. The Heartbreaker is up, but it's flashed away from, and Dhokla will survive.
Yeah, a little bit greedy there. Dhokla knew they were in the area, didn't want to lose the red buff, wanted to grab this, does get punished, loses the flash, but at the end of the day, it is all NRG. Warded out was CoreJJ. Yes, Yeon can pull him back to save him with the ulti, but then APA gets tagged again by Contractz, so it feels like the 100th time this game. And then that shockwave from Palafox was massive. Finds the 3-man shockwave there. And it feels like that may have sealed the deal. To get the Baron, they're now over 6k ahead here. And it's really accelerating them further and further ahead in this game. IgNar is so damn tanky at this point that's really tough to get through him. Contractz is on 2.5 items, only 26 minutes in for a jungler. There's just not a lot of damage here. And Yeon has so much armor to deal with that I don't really see how he can ever get through them in a quick way.
That's right, that Kalista point in the game versus Tahm, versus Sej, versus Jax even.
Yeah.
Irrelevancy is something to talk about, and I think more importantly, something you raised in the game as well. You know, Dhokla on this Jax, 2 items now with a stopwatch. Who starts matching him? How do you play side lanes? How do you deal with the push? NRG right now, multifaceted through mid, through top. Baron is doing work here with Red Bull Baron power play already at 2,500. And in a turret about to bite the dust as TL is stretched thin.
Yeah, TL might be going for it though. CoreJJ looking for the flank, but the tower is going to be going down, so it's too late. Yeon in trouble.
NRG pulling the play instead. Instant cleanse away, but that's summoner taken as CoreJJ is now on a ward. So he'll be spotted out as Palafox has the movement speed thanks to FBI, thanks to dissonance. And it is Yakety Sax to run away, flash from the shockwave, while the rest of NRG are looking to pincer this movement. And TL, I mean, again, running out of options. CoreJJ hasn't been home in years. I mean, this guy level 9. He's been sitting out of base, and I think another couple of minutes will do him well. The slowdown, easy kill, and one for FBI, while Dhokla is just playing his own game. Teleport going to be burning in. Okay, this time he's got backup on Pyosik. The Grandmaster's might is there, but Palafox now with a rabbit on death cap. You got to take him even more seriously.
Yeah, he is ready to go. Hit 16, gets the death cap, and that is often the death knell against Orianna here. You get so ridiculously strong at this point. Dhokla pressuring, they're pressuring through mid as well. TL just don't have the wave clear. Kalista, without a Hurricane, has almost no wave clear to speak of, and you can't step up because you're so outranged, so it's all up to APA, but APA is very far behind. Contractz has been his bane this game, 1-2-8, but I feel like Contractz to me is just dominating this game. He has been so on point with the ultis.
Great to see him back at Worlds. It's been so long, but this performance putting hope in NRG fans. The root comes down and someone gets poked down. Walk away from this. At least one NA team is going to be moving to 1-1 here as well. And NRG right now look like they deserve it. Such a better showing after going up against Weibo yesterday and having no face in any of the early game in any part of that game against Weiwei and his Poppy. Today, all you can say is that NRG are looking so much cleaner. And Azale, they've never stopped this pace. That's what's so beautiful about this team. There's always one play after another.
Yeah, absolutely. They are really pressuring the map pretty heavily here. Dhokla has been constantly out in the side lanes, drawing a lot of pressure, created his own advantage that was kind of slammed home by Contractz. You know, the early trading kind of helped to set up for that gank that came up from Contractz to get that first kill, and then Contractz constantly pressuring around APA. You know, the solo laners started that snowball, but Contractz kept it rolling all game long, non-stop pressuring APA. And you can see, just look at that itemization. He's a full death cap behind his opponent. That is a ridiculous disadvantage. And you're looking over at Yeon. Yeah, great, he's got 2 items, but Contractz is closing in on 3. Dhokla has 3. Palafox has 3. You know, even IgNar is going to be so hard for him to ever get through. So TL have very limited options here. And we'll see how quickly Palafox and the rest of the squad can push this forward. But you do have to say, if you watched a lot of NRG in the regular season, no game was unlosable.
Yeah.
They lose some ridiculous games in the regular season, including, I think it was their first game of the split against the Mortals. They lost a game that they won. I want to say it was somewhere between 10 and 12K ahead, something like that. And so it does happen. This is one of those teams that sometimes gets overzealous, but in this game, they're looking really measured. They're not looking like they're really overstepping. They clearly want to have a good showing here, and they're in a great position to finish it out.
Yeah, hopefully no clumsy mechanics, no clumsy move from NRG with, again, almost that 10K gold lead, but at least TL trying to force it out. Scan of the Week doesn't connect, though. Dhokla's out. 5 members now, all moving in, or rather 4, as you said. Still waiting for someone to join in, but Dhokla's taking them all on the crash down from CoreJJ. Nothing's connected. As Dhokla flashes out, he's ready to go back in. The stun follows through. Contractz now joins in. They tried to take on Big Dokes, but you don't say his name without getting the Dokes back. TL running for the hills, and NRG, every single movement has been world class.
You sent 4, but you should have brought 5. Big Dokes pikes his way out of it. He's going to survive, and NRG crushing TL now. 19-4 is the kill score, pushing down mid. And this is a team, NRG, that plays with emotion, that plays with confidence. When they're ahead, they often really get ahead. So it's such a big win for them, and we'll see if they can close it out right here, right now.
31 minutes onto the Nexus turret to teleport to seal the deal. APA still dead for a bit. And look, Pyosik is going to try and do what he can here on the 2-0 Viego, but Team Liquid now in fear of a KT Dumb 1 possibility, but more importantly, NRG keeping themselves in a strong spot. 1-1 here to open up day 2 of Swiss at Worlds, and NRG should start being respected with more performances like this as they run onto the fountain to finish in style.
The first win here at Worlds for NRG, able to pick it up, the #1 LCS seed, get that under their belt. It's been so long for many of these players to be back at Worlds. It's the first time for others. You know, it means so much for these guys to be able to get a win under their belt. They do it against TL. It's a team that they are so familiar with, that they're always going to be comfortable with. And to me, this was much more indicative of the energy we saw in the LCS. They really step it up here today. I think the drafting was such a key component as well. The Senna TK really felt like it undercut so much of what TL was trying to accomplish, because they drafted that early Kalista, clearly wanted to try to play to dominate the lane, didn't feel that they were in a position to do so. I think they would have had to bring out a range support for Core if they really wanted to do that, but then they would have had 0 engage. So when they draft that Rell, they couldn't really bully the 2v2, so it sent Core on this kind of roaming mission, but both solo lanes lost individually, and then were crushed by Contractz. So this was smooth sailing for NRG. and we'll see what they can get done here. Now moving forward, it's going to be the 1-on-1 opponents that they'll be facing down.
Which is, again, a better chance for NRG, but I think the position that they're in is just so much more flexible, not in that 0-2, not in that death's door to play BO3s to get yourself out. But I think more importantly, Azal, you nailed it. All 3 lanes, including jungle as well, were perfect from NRG. This was a massive difference, and I'm starting to see why this team is our first seed. Oh, sorry, speaking like Flowers, your first seed.
Yeah, hey, come, welcome aboard. You can be an LCS, man. It's our first seed.
I've been to America once.
We turned no one away.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, look, with teams like NRG, I'd be happy to join.
There you go. It's been a fun game to watch so far. Fun start of the day. TL, though, obviously heartbreaking loss for them. They were incredibly close to actually taking down TL yesterday. So to go from that, be riding high off of that, to then just getting absolutely blown out of the water here by NRG, and now knowing you could be drawing KT or D+, and having to play them tomorrow. Of course, there's a lot of other teams, but it is a scary prospect.
It is indeed, but ladies and gentlemen, after the break, it's NA's 1-0 team Cloud9 facing off against LNG Esports. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right here waiting.